What's going on, Alabama fans? Chris Daughtry back with you guys here on Monday morning for the Alabama Football Report by Chat Sports. Man, do we have a loaded show on tap for you guys today. We'll be talking about the coaching rumors around Jamarcus Shepherd and, which Alabama staff members he's going to be taking to Oregon State and even how long Jamarcus Shepherd is going to be with this Alabama team. We'll also have some injury news and updates for you guys around Jam Miller, around Josh Cuevas, Danny Lewis Jr., and running back Kevin Riley as well, and what Alabama might have to do at that running back position. We're also going to be talking about some recruiting chaos. We have the early signing day on Wednesday, so right around the corner here in about 48 hours or so, we're going to have some of those 2026 recruits start making their commitments known, and they'll be signing their letters of intent here, and some absolute chaos that happened last night. We're going to go over all that here on today's video. There's going to be a lot of news over the next couple of weeks. You have signing day on Wednesday. You have the SEC championship. We'll be live for that, by the way. After that, we will have an update on whether or not Alabama gets into the college football playoffs. If they do, we'll have college football playoff coverage for you, and we will also have transfer portal coverage for you as well, because that is going to open up on January 2nd. So over the next couple weeks, there's going to be a ton of news. So make sure you guys are subscribed. We'll keep you updated here for free on the channel, by the way. And by the way, in the month of November, we got over 3,000 subscribers here on the Alabama Football Report. I want to see if we can beat that here in the month of December. Like I said, there's going to be a ton of news coming out here in the next couple of weeks, so stay up to date for free right here at the Alabama Football Report by Chat Sports, and hit that sub button for me right now. All right, first up on today's show, we're going to be talking about some recruiting chaos that has been going on for the Crimson Tide. Really, over the past week or so, you've had some decommitments, you've had some commitments, you've had some preferred walk-ons, and even last night, there was a lot of chaos going on last night with the very own Zyan Gibson. He is a four-star recruit right now in this 2026 recruiting class. He is actually the first commit from Alabama's 2026 recruiting class. Ended up committing back on Christmas Eve, I believe it was, in 2024. Number 4 player out of the state of Alabama, has been the longest running commitment in Alabama's 2026 recruiting class. Yesterday, Zyan ended up tweeting this out, basically, just putting out his, when he's going to sign. He's going to be signing at the high school December 3rd, 1 p.m. Nothing crazy right there. That post, actually, I have not seen that post on his Twitter, so I kind of think that actually did get deleted. And then late last night, I think it was around, like 10, 11 o'clock Central Time or something like that, Hayes Fawcett dropping a big bomb saying 4-star cornerback Zyan Gibson has decommitted from the Alabama Crimson Tide. And just after that, chaos ensued, because Zion's mom actually, on Zion's Twitter account, which is a little weird, but who cares really at the end of the day, tweeting back at that post to Hayes Fawcett saying, "This is Zion's mom, take the post down." And after that, everybody was like, oh my God, what is going on? The message boards are freaking out. You go over to the Instagram side of things, you've got fellow 2026 commits for Alabama's class saying, "Go be great, Kings." So, and Zyan posts the emoji of just kind of the silhouette person, looks like somebody's talking. Like, what does that even mean? I don't know. Everybody thinks Zyan is, decommitted now from Alabama's class. And after that, at 12, pretty much midnight Eastern time here, Zyan comes out with this post here saying, "Earlier today, a post was shared about my decommitment. I want to clarify, this message was the result of miscommunication. I am standing by my pledge I made to Alabama. I'll be signing with Alabama on December 3rd. At this point, I will not be doing any more interviews. Roll Tide." This was just absolutely insane. By the way, you also had the GM of Oklahoma tweeting out hashtag Bama Sooners. I still have no idea what that means at this point, but the chaos is just going crazy right now in terms of recruiting. But as of right now, Zyan Gibson is still committed to Alabama's 2026 recruiting class, and according to him, he will be signing on Wednesday. So if you guys are happy, if you guys are excited that Zyan Gibson is going to be staying committed to Alabama's 2026 class, make sure you get down there and drop a like on today's video. Alabama's recruiting class right now is sitting at a really, really solid spot, even though you have had some decommitments and you also have some late commitments here that we'll go over here on today's video. But if you're excited about Zyan, number 4 player out of the state of Alabama, the number 5 cornerback in this class, drop a like on today's show. All right, going back to about a week or so ago now, I believe it was, Sam Utu was committed to the Crimson Tide. He ended up decommitting on November 24th. He hasn't been to Alabama, on campus for a visit so far this fall. He is from California, so it is a long way away, but it didn't really seem like a surprise really to anybody that Sam Utu ended up decommitting there. But Alabama did go ahead and fill the spot here. Terrell Miller ended up committing to Alabama just the other day, right after the Iron Bowl. That news ended up coming out here. Interesting about him, he's in JUCO right now, took a very, very quiet official visit during that Eastern Illinois game. And, he's not ranked right now in terms of those JUCO rankings anyways, but, what the Alabama staff has seen, I guess, from him has made them confident enough to go ahead and take his commitment in this 2026 recruiting class. You have Chris Booker, you have Bear Fretwell, you have Jared Dottie, and now Terrell Miller along this offensive line in this recruiting class. Yesterday, by the way, you also had another preferred walk-on end up dropping his commitment here. Jude Cascone, I believe is how you pronounce his name there, number 87 tight end in this recruiting class out of the state of Georgia. So, look, just adding to the numbers there, that's a pretty solid thing. You also do have Max Sutter, top 100 recruit, number 5 tight end in this class as well. So, not going to be taking up a scholarship here for Jude, but is coming in as a preferred walk-on. And earlier today, Jatori Williams, 2027 offensive lineman, ended up decommitting from that class. Not really the biggest deal in the world. That's a 2027 guy, but because that news did drop, we did want to also add that into today's show. Ended up telling Hayes Fawcett there that I feel like I rushed the process. So, we'll see what ends up happening there. We'll see if he gets back in Alabama's 2027 class. Still got a long way to go. Got a year now before he has to, make his final decision there. But as of right now, Jatori Williams has decommitted from Alabama's 2027 recruiting class. Now, we still got a lot to go over here on today's show. We've got coaching rumors around Jamarcus Shepard, how long he's going to be staying, which other Alabama staff members are going to be going with him, and we also have some big injury news and updates to go over here on today's show. Before we get into that, though, we want to give a shout out to the sponsor of today's show, that is Prize Picks. It's the holiday season right now. Best time of the year for sports. You have bowl games coming up here in just the next couple of weeks. You have basketball matchups. You have playoff pushes happening. It's all happening at once. And while you and I are out here making decisions every single day, what gifts to buy around the holiday season, what to eat, which games to watch, because at the end of the day, you can't watch them all. You got to pick and choose which ones you really prefer there. There's only one place where it feels good to be right, and that, by the way, is on Prize Picks. This is what I'm going with here tonight for the little 2-pick power play. Former Alabama player there, Colin Sexton, going with the more than on him for points. By the way, one thing that I really do love about Prize Picks, you can do different sports. You can do basketball and you can do football in the same Prize Picks lineup. So that's what we're featuring here. Going with Colin Sexton, more than on 14 points. And then Drake May for this Monday night game against the New York Giants, going with the more than on him at 245.5 passing yards. By the way, there's a new feature alert here on Prize Picks. They now offer early payouts. If your lineup gets off to a hot start, you may now have the option to cash out those winnings before the game even finishes. And one of my favorite things about Prize Picks, how you play is up to you. If you want flexibility, choose the flex play, where you can get paid even if one of your picks misses. That's something that I do take advantage of a lot because I'm not the best at Prize Picks, but hell, I have a lot of fun doing it here. But if you want the biggest payouts, go with the power play. No matter how you play, Prize Picks is a great way to put your takes to the test. So download the PrizePicks app today and use promo code CLNS to get $50 in lineups when you play your first $5 lineup. That's promo code CLNS to get $50 in lineups when you play your first $5 lineup. That link, by the way, going to be down in the comment section and the description of today's video. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. All right, next up on today's show, we're going to be talking some coaching rumors here. Jamarcus Shepard obviously took that head coaching job last week with Oregon State. And, Kalen DeBoer did say that he is going to be with the Crimson Tide here through the SEC championship game. Also added that here early in the week, he does have some obligations that he has to take care of. I believe tomorrow at noon. On Tuesday at noon, he will actually be introduced to the team there. Then he's going to be back with the Crimson Tide probably on Wednesday, I would assume, on that front. Now, the biggest question is, what staff members for Alabama are going to follow Jamarcus Shepard to Oregon State? As of right now, this is what I have seen. 3 names who are going to be following Jamarcus Shepard to Oregon State. You have Aaron Hodges. He's going to end up being their GM. He was Alabama's director of player personnel. You might know him on Twitter, as every single time Alabama lands a commit, he puts a hilarious video out. It's always good. Usually, a song is involved. Usually some folks are dancing and stuff like that. That's going to be a big loss for Alabama. Aaron Hodges has done a really, really good job on the recruiting trail for the Crimson Tide. Really underrated name there. Mitch Dalton is going to be their quarterbacks coach and offensive coordinator. He was an assistant quarterbacks coach and assistant offensive coordinator here at Alabama. He has worked with, Michael Penix Jr., Jalen Milroe, now Ty Simpson. He's a really, really good mind there. That's going to be another underrated name that's going to be a loss here for the Crimson Tide. And also, Torrey Gill is going to end up being Oregon State's wide receiver coach here. He was an offensive analyst and assistant wide receiver coach here for the Crimson Tide. So all these technically are not official quite yet, but as of right now, those are the reported names that are going to be following Jamarcus Shepard to Oregon State. And one name that we need to really closely monitor here is going to be Alabama's defensive back coach, Mo Linguist. Alabama needs to retain him at all costs right now. He has been recruiting at a very high level for Alabama, especially in that defensive backfield. He's got these DBs playing at a very, very high level. I mean, my God, you saw what Xavier Brown was able to do against Cam Coleman in the Iron Bowl just the other day. So Alabama is going to have to retain Mo Linguist here. There's some rumors out there. Maybe he's going to be following, Jamarcus Shepard to be Oregon State's defensive coordinator. I don't know how much credence those rumors really get. I did see a report from Bama 247 that it was fake news at this point, but yeah, you never know. You never know what could happen there, but Alabama, man, if they lose Mo Linguist, that would be a big loss for this coaching staff. And by the way, you're going to be losing your wide receiver coach in Jamarcus Shepard. Marquise Mays right here, obviously, former Alabama great, tweeting this out after that news broke that Jamarcus Shepard was going to be taking that head coach job, saying, okay, Alabama football, it's time to hire me and Julio Jones, him as the head wide receivers coach and me as the assistant wide receivers coach, because you're losing both of those guys here on the staff. Drop the contract. Let's, get the ball rolling here, roll Tide. I think that would be a solid plan if Alabama went out there and hired Julio Jones to be their new wide receiver coach. I think the big question mark here, Julio obviously has made a ton of money, but he is he bleeds crimson through and through here. He is from Alabama. Also, by the way, former high school alumni myself as well with Julio Jones. I remember, seeing him back, playing in high school. I've got some old, autographs from Julio Jones from his time in high school there. So I would love it if Julio Jones ended up being Alabama's new wide receiver coach. And why not hire Marquise Mays as the, assistant wide receiver coach there as well. So I want to hear from you guys down in the comments section. Would you want Julio Jones to be Alabama's wide receiver coach? We will make this the pinned comment of today's video. And usually we do type Y for yes or N for no. But today, I think this one just makes so much sense here. Type Y for yes or N for yes down at the pinned comment of today's video. All right, before we get out of here, we do have some injury news to go over as well. Some not so good injury news here. Danny Lewis Jr., Charlie Potter reported that he was going to end up being out for the season. He was seen wearing a boot during that Eastern Illinois game. Obviously, he's been in and out really for the past 2 years here for Alabama, so he is a big loss for them. Doesn't necessarily do a ton in the passing game, but when it comes to his blocking ability and what he does in the run game, you see when he is in there, Alabama does run the football a little bit better, and unfortunately, he has been out for the majority of the season this year, so that is a big-time loss for Alabama at that tight end spot. Kevin Riley as well, he was featured on the injury report. There wasn't actually a, designation or anything like that on the injury report for him, but it turns out that he ended up breaking his jaw during the Eastern Illinois game. So, I would assume he's probably also going to be out here for the SEC championship game. Back over to the tight ends now, Josh Cuevas. This has been a big-time talking point for us here on the Alabama Football Report, with him being out over the past 2 weeks, that Eastern Illinois game, the Iron Bowl, he was out. Kalen DeBoer also mentioning during his press conference yesterday, he said, I would expect Josh to probably not be with us this weekend against Georgia for the SEC championship game. That is a big-time loss. He is by far Alabama's best pass catcher at that tight end spot. And, man, you're going to see some young guys play at that tight end spot against Georgia just like you did versus Auburn. Kaleb Edwards has got a lot of run so far this season at that, tight end spot. He played 60 snaps versus Auburn. You saw Jay Lindsey and Marshall Pritchett also featured in there with 14 and 15 snaps. Brody Dalton also got a little bit of work there with 6 snaps in that Iron Bowl game. So, Marshall Pritchett did have a pretty big drop at one point in the game there, but just getting him in more involved, I think he could also be a big-time impact pass catcher for Alabama at that tight end spot. But, man, I guess we'll see how they utilize these guys this weekend against the Georgia Bulldogs. The last update here, really not much of an update. Kalen DeBoer said that Jam Miller suffered a lower leg injury. I kind of think it's a right ankle injury. When you go back and you look at the play that he ended up getting injured on, it looked like his right ankle got rolled up on. He was seen on crutches. He was seen with a, scooter going back into the athletic facility after Alabama got back into town. I think that was at 2:45, 3 o'clock in the morning or something like that after the Iron Bowl game. Kalen DeBoer saying more information will come out here on Monday. So if that information does come out, we will put another short out for you guys on any type of Jam Miller injury updates. But as of right now, we just do not know a lot about Jam Miller. And it really does suck because, over the past season, all year for the most part, he just kind of has had a down season, and then versus Auburn really was able to get some things going, averaging over 5 yards per carry in that game, and late in the game ended up getting hurt there. And Kalen DeBoer was asked, hey, what are you guys going to do moving forward here with Jam Miller? And now Kevin Riley also out at that running back spot. He said they'll all have to do their part. We've got A.K. Deer, a few more reps on top of what Daniel Hill has done. Dre Washington is ready, and he continues to take reps in practice. We've just got to keep plugging away with the guys that are excited about their opportunity. And you look at the stats overall here in 2025, I personally want to see Daniel Hill get 15, 20 carries in this game this weekend. And, we've all been wanting to see A.K. Deer here, kind of a tongue twister there. We might end up seeing him just kind of by default because of some of these injuries that happened in the Iron Bowl and in the Eastern Illinois game. One thing that stuck out to me about that quote from Kalen DeBoer, though, did not mention Richard Young at all. So, that's something that, a lot of people were excited about Richard Young coming into the season here. But by name, he talked about Dre Washington, he talked about A.K. Deer, and he talked about Daniel Hill. I don't know if we're really going to see any Richard Young in this game this weekend. So what is your concern level over the injuries for the Crimson Tide? Scale it for me 1 to 10 down in the comment section. 1, you're not concerned at all. 10, you are freaking out. Let me know what you guys think. Be honest with me down in the comment section of today's show.